Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. Today, I'm going to be talking about BRICS yet again, the 5 countries that make up BRICS, and talking about that. But I'm going to talk about it in a different way because I'm talking about BRICS expansion and what that will mean both to the U.S. and to the rest of the world as far as the economy. Because, hey, crypto is a world economy of type thing. So let me share my screen and I'll start talking about it. So first off, let's see. Oh, I lost that one image. Hold on a second. Go. So let me share my screen. Here we go. There we go. So as a gentle reminder, these are the G7 through the G20 countries. And these are the largest 7 to 20 economies in the world. And I'll talk about those numbers in a minute. But a lot of the BRICS nations are the 5 of the 13 nations that are not part of the G7, but part of the G20. So we're talking about Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Those are the 5 BRICS nations. Now, in fact, there was a BRICS summit last month, which I didn't even know about, but here's a picture from that summit. And this tweet came out from Kasari Weekly. It said the 5 BRICS nations together represent 40% of the global population. I checked the math on that. I got about 41, or 39, somewhere in there. 41%, 40 to 41% of the global population, and 24% of the GDP. I think it's actually higher than that, and 16% of global trade. I didn't do the global trade numbers, but they are challenging the Western dominance. So what I did, and I'm going to go through here, and I looked at the 50 largest economies in 2021 and figured out the GDP for each one. There's China, there's India, there is Russia. So you have 3 of the top 11, Brazil. So you have 4 of the top 12. If you go down a little bit further to find South Africa, interesting that that's part of it, but I think they wanted an African nation. That's one of the top African nations that's on the list. I don't see any other African nations above them. No, I think Nigeria is closest, but South Africa is also good for trade routes. So there we go. So I took these numbers and I also went through the world population numbers from this site. And I used the current numbers, the live numbers, as we approach 8 billion people, according to these numbers. And then I said, okay, well, I saw this story from the other day, and that was very interesting. It was just last week. Argentina is considering joining BRICS, and Iran is considering joining BRICS, as is Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. Now, I'm going to have to pause here because I didn't factor in Iran. So let me factor that in real quick, and I'll get right back to this recording. Okay, just went and did the numbers. So now let me continue. So we got 5 other countries that are considering joining the BRICS nations. We have Argentina and Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. All are showing interest in joining BRICS. And this could happen as early as 2023. I think they have a summit. They just had a summit on June 23, 24. So I'm guessing the next summit would be about that same time. So less than a year from now, all 10 of these nations could be a part of BRICS. So what I did was I went back to these numbers, and I calculated all the GDP of all 10. And if I do the GDP of all 10, we had 4 of the top 12 plus South Africa down here at 32. If we factor in Saudi Arabia, that's 18, number 18 overall. Turkey is 19. Argentina is 26. Egypt is right near South Africa at 34, and then Iran rounds it out as number 50. And then looking at the world population, we got some big numbers there too. China's number 1, India, Brazil, Russia. So those are 4 of the 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 of the top 9. So those 4 of the top 9, that makes up about a third, 29% of the world population. Add in these other 5, you have Iran at I think 16th, Turkey at 17. They're bigger than South Africa. Egypt is 14, right at the top here. And then Argentina and Saudi Arabia are just a little bit further down. Argentina's right there. And Saudi Arabia is right there. So, but if you add all these up, okay, let me drop out of sharing screen. Here we go. And there we go. Okay, so if you add all these together and look at my notes here, if you add them all up, you have about a third of all the world's GDP, and you have 45% of the world's population, all that could be in part of BRICS. So And going back, I'm going to share my screen one more time, and I'll share this screen again. Here we go. So looking at these, just looking at like these countries here. So you have the ones I mentioned: Argentina, Brazil, India, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey. That's basically like all of the 10 countries I mentioned. All Iran's not there, and Egypt's not there, but it's covering basically everybody outside of the G7 that's part of the G20, except for Australia. Australia would be an interesting one to understand because they have close ties to China economically, but they're close politically with the G7. So is the European Union. Mexico is part of NAFTA, so they would probably follow the U.S. and Canada, which is part of the G7. South Korea is another wild card. I don't know if they would bond with something with China. They may or may not, but you could be looking at, in less than 12 months, half the world's population and over a third of the economy of the world. I think that was the right number. Let me go back to that tweet. Yeah, it's 24% of GDP now. It could be approaching a full third, if not more, as more of the economy shifts to outside of the U.S. and the G7 nations. So what does it all mean? We know that Germany's got issues right now getting, with natural gas is cut off from Russia. Europe's going to have issues. Germany is pretty much the kingpin of the European Union, and we know that the UK has issues. There's geopolitical issues everywhere. There's all kinds of things going on all over the globe, and the media, as we normally have seen it, not covering it like usual in the United States. So bringing this all together, we're going to be seeing a lot of the escape of the SWIFT system, escape of the dollar system, escape of to going to this BRICS system, and all these nations that are already making deals. It doesn't mean just because a country is not part of BRICS officially doesn't mean they're not making deals. So Iran and Argentina, Saudi Arabia, they're all making deals outside of the dollar system and working with the BRICS countries more than they are working with the G7 countries. So that's going to have an impact to the Western world, the first world, the banking system, the central bank system. It's all gonna tie together, and it's all gonna go back to, the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency, they're making deals in Bitcoin. They're making trades in the digital yuan, the digital ruble. These are all going digital. They're all going outside of the US dollar system. Saudi Arabia is a big deal. We already know that a certain guy is already there trying to get more oil, and it's not happening. Brazil and Russia are not going to do it either. They're for their natural resources, same as Russia. There's a lot of natural resources in these BRICS nations, and the BRICS nations are going to get first crack at them. So it's going to be interesting going forward to see how it all pans out, because it's a big dynamic. And as there's change to the BRICS system is going to be looking for other ways to standardize and have international settlements. So cryptocurrency seems to be a very plausible answer. Digital gold. And that's exactly what Bitcoin fills in with. And don't be surprised if XRP or other cryptocurrencies are employed as well. So there could be a digital currency for South America, because, as I pointed out in that article was written based in a newspaper coming out of Rio de Janeiro, which I've talked about Rio before. Rio is the linchpin to Brazil, and as Brazil goes, so does the rest of South America, because Brazil is the largest economy by far in South America. So Rio's already using Bitcoin. They already have 1% of their reserves in Bitcoin. Then comes Brazil, who's already part of BRICS, and the other nations are talking to them about using cryptocurrency. And El Salvador is already in the mix. 44 other countries went there to talk about it, and we have countries in Africa talking about it. So the Western world is falling behind quickly because they're worried about regulation and legislation, and we're getting all their I's dotted and T's crossed before, and they're going to be left behind. It's kind of like when you have a startup company that challenges an incumbent, and it's disrupting. So if somebody comes, like Tesla challenged Ford, so Ford couldn't move as fast, and Tesla came on and took a lot of their market share. That's what happens when you have somebody new come on the scene and they start to eat market share. Happens in everything. The smaller company is more dynamic and the larger incumbent, for whatever reason, can't be as nimble and move as quickly. So the dollar is the incumbent, the petrodollar has been there for 50 years. It seems to be going away more and more each day. And if Saudi Arabia starts saying we're going to be accepting things other than the US dollar for oil, which is everything is pointing that way, then this BRICS nations and these alternative currencies are going to be where it goes. So cryptocurrency is going to be the way that everything heads. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that the BRICS currency or the BRICS countries are going to lead the way like I do, and that the third world is going to lead the first world to the new economy that they're building right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe really helps out the channel. And share this video. And I'd love to hear your feedback as well. And also, there'll be an AMA this Wednesday for Crypto Confidential members. And of course, everything that's ticking across down here, you can reach me. You can get my Patreon's only $5 a month. You get real news. You can reach out to me on the phone number. You can book me as small as a 10-minute appointment. That's on my Calendly. And I have other stuff that's available for free on my website. So, lots said today. I'm going to close the door on the bureau, say follow leader one more time. I will talk to you soon. Take care.